2 years ago at E3, I saw Anthem revealed for the very first time, and I will admit, it was probably the coolest looking thing I've ever seen. As a matter of fact, it looked so good that it made me contemplate buying an Xbox One X just to play it. That was partly because I thought it was going to be an exclusive, but still, I was blown away. Later that year, when I was asked to be a game changer for Anthem, I just about wet my joggers. And when I got to sit in the same room and hang out with YouTubers I had watched for years, as you can probably guess, I tried to play it cool. But yeah, I needed to change my pants again. Being involved with Anthem, seeing and playing it over a year before it came out, knowing and talking to developers, going to events, and wanting this game to succeed so much, all come together to make this video hard to create. But at the end of the day, it has to be done. Because while Anthem has gorgeous graphics, fun, empowering gameplay, and a decent story, it just has way too many fundamental problems to ignore. About a month ago in my first impressions video, I told you guys that when the full game comes out, I will be completely honest. Despite being flown out to give feedback, capture early gameplay, and all that stuff, I would still review and critique this game like any other. And so, that is exactly what I'm gonna do. I don't think that sharing my honest thoughts on Anthem, even if they call out its shortcomings, break any rules, but if it somehow does and this video gets me removed from the Game Changer program, then oh well, I guess. I mean, that would certainly be disappointing, but I feel like if I lied about my thoughts, or if I sugarcoated them, or just avoided it altogether, then I'd be doing you guys a disservice. Also, I don't see why EA would even want game changers who just blow smoke up their butt anyway, so I don't really think I'm doing anything wrong here. Obviously, I'm gonna go about this in a respectful manner as I try with every video. At some point, I'll probably get a little frustrated, but just be aware it's because I'm passionate and I care. This video is not made to bash on Anthem. If you like the game, keep playing it. This is not meant to persuade anyone to not like the things they enjoy. When new content comes out, I'll give it a try. This video is made because I want what's best for this game. It's what I did for Destiny 2, hence the similar title, and it's what I'm doing now, because that goes for all the content I make. So, here we go. Lord help me. I don't think I'll be able to truly encapsulate everything that I want to say about Anthem in one video, but over the course of playing many hours, I've compiled a list of things that stand out to me the most. If you saw my last video on smaller fixes, this is the video on the bigger, more core fundamental problems with the game. At the end of the day, this short review from PC Gamer pretty much summarizes what a lot of people think when it says, Anthem's disjointed story, boring loot, repetitive missions, and shallow endgame are all disappointing. But at least it's pretty. Above all else, the main disappointing thing about Anthem is that Destiny, The Division, and Destiny 2 all came out before it. Anthem had 3 games to learn from, 3 games to see what worked and what didn't, to see what people were looking for. It had their mishaps to learn from and the blueprint of what worked. But yet Anthem ran into the same exact problems. It didn't manage to really be any better than those games. In certain areas it's worse, even when we compare them at the state of their launch. First things first, this game is littered with bugs. You got glitches over here, glitches over there, your mom's got glitches, your dog's got glitches, you got glitches everywhere, son. Some of these are relatively harmless, but others are extremely frustrating. I know that BioWare is patching bugs as we speak, and their communication with the community is worth mentioning, but releasing a broken game just to fix it later is not acceptable, especially when it costs $60. And that is going to be a recurring theme in this video because the main counter argument is going to be that BioWare is going to fix it later. And they might. They probably will, but here's the thing. No one would ever pay for something unfinished or broken or chopped up in any other instance. So why should that be different for a video game? I'm not going to buy a broken lamp at full price even if the person that sold it to me said they'd fix it later. I'm not going to buy a meal that's supposed to come with 2 sides, but they only give me 1 side and promise the other side next month. That's not how it works. I better get both them sides now. That's gonna be moldy in a month, you nasty. I know these analogies are really weird, but that argument just drives me up a wall. You people are dumb. Not only are there general bugs, but there are systems in Anthem that just don't work. The currency and crafting systems are not well thought out. They're pointless and require way too much grinding for little reward. The menus in the map are pretty much pointless. They're confusing to use, not very appealing to look at, and don't give you good feedback. It made me appreciate those found in Destiny so much more. Bungie earns those rewards they get for their UI. The game itself is a little delayed at times as enemies die a second after you shoot them and checkpoints take a while to update to tell you where you have to go next. There are plenty of connectivity issues which causes more loading screens, which is a whole other beast within itself, resulting in crashes and disconnects, forcing people to have to redo entire sections of the game. The AI is incredibly dumb at times. It's like they don't even realize they're getting riddled with my bullets. Anthem is missing basic features like a stat screen and the ability to add a waypoint. Perks are completely random, they can roll on anything, even when it doesn't make sense for that type of weapon or ability. There's also a very lacking amount of interesting perks. The game at times tells you its story out of order, causing multiple confusing continuity problems. And all these things are just stuff on the surface. This isn't even me getting into the core of Anthem and why it's disappointing. The things that BioWare can't fix in a patch down the road. This isn't me saying that Anthem has zero redeemable aspects though. In many areas, primarily in the graphics and the gameplay department, it excels. The core experience here with the javelins, the open world design, the flying around, it's all really solid and unique. In my first impressions, I said that the game was fun, and I still think Anthem at its core is a fun game. But the problem is that it's never expanded upon and brought to its fullest potential like so many of us hope to see. Anthem is a game that had so much potential. The universe that was created here could have been so immersive, original, and spectacular. But what we got were a bunch of constant immersion-breaking loading screens and weapons that might as well be in The Division. Before I do continue though, I do want to address the loading screen thing because it's all the rage these days, as the kids say. For me personally, the loading screens themselves don't bother me all that much. I haven't really encountered loading screens that are ridiculously long like other people have. Generally speaking, I am fine with a game that needs to load. Not all games need to be as awesome as God of War, where the camera angle never breaks once. Side note though, God of War is amazing. I also try to be understanding of game design. I don't make these things for a living, so I don't think I'm fit to make assumptions. I'm pretty sure if given the option, every developer in the industry would cut out loading if they could. Not everyone playing Anthem has a beastly PC that can run and render everything perfectly. But that being said, I try to be a little bit more gracious. However, what we can do is look at the competition, and as I said, I don't have an issue with loading screens. My problem lies with how often you must see a loading screen because you have to encounter one to do just about anything. In Destiny, you can look at your materials, gear, and weapons while the game plays in the background. You can dismantle items, equip shaders, view the lore, open the map, launch activities, track bounties, customize your weapons, upgrade gear, change your abilities around, shall I go on, while you are still playing the game, all done with the press of one button and a beautiful little fade to black. In Anthem, you need to go through a loading screen to do not all, but many of those same things. On top of that, Destiny rarely drops frames or has textures pop in like Anthem does, running on the same exact hardware. Granted, Destiny has multiple planets while Anthem has one big open world. But if you look at The Division 2, you load into the map once and never again. You don't load into missions, you don't load into the dark zone, and like Destiny, you can pick up, dismantle, and customize weapons all while the game runs at the same time. And from my experience playing the beta of The Division, it worked how they said it would. I walked up to an area, and the mission would just begin. I understand what BioWare was trying to do when they set up the current system where you wait to see what items you get at the end of a mission. The goal was that players could complete missions without being distracted by the items they received. And despite the fact that this differs from the original reveal, in concept, I don't really have a problem with this system. The problem is that after every mission, you must return to Fort Tarsus, which becomes incredibly tedious, especially because of the fact that it is probably the most dead social space I have ever seen in my life. So dead that I feel like I'm in a horror game, walking around it at times. On top of that, the fact that the player can't even look at their gear or switch it into mission is too constricting. Part of the fun in Destiny is switching up your weapons, subclass, and gear pieces depending on the encounter you're about to face. You just can't do that in Anthem. In order to move one thing around, you have to leave the world, load back into Fart Tarsus, load into the Forge, and switch it. That is way too many steps to do something that should be so simple. It destroys the immersion and is a big reason why everyone complains about the loading screens. It makes something that should take 5 seconds take 5 minutes featuring 3 loading screens. And you better not forget something, because you're going to have to go through another bunch of loading screens to get back there to do the thing you forgot to do. There are just way too many times where you are forced out of experiencing the game, and that is never a good thing. I don't think Anthem is poorly optimized. If we have to load into caves and stuff, that's fine. I just think the system present in the game removes the player from the experience way more than it should, and there are plenty of instances where this could be avoided. And as a side note, the fact that Anthem chooses to have static images when it loads really doesn't help. I remember all the way back in NBA Live 10 where you could shoot hoops while the game loaded, for God's sakes. That was an EA game that came out 10 years ago. Another big theme in Anthem is that generally, the game is just lacking. In Anthem, everyone looks the same. Sure, there is a ton of different customization options for colors and materials. That's all good and dandy. I absolutely love it. They did a great job at that. But where's all the gear pieces? Where's all the emotes? If you take a look at this video on the screen, this was a live stream hosted by BioWare. Where is all this stuff? Why isn't this in the game? Is this what a live service game looks like? Just because the DLC is free doesn't mean you can cut out all this content and give it to us later. Make a complete game and then add more. Don't make a game and chop it all up for later. And this isn't just for the gear, it applies to the weapons and abilities too. The abilities and weapons in Anthem, from common to legendary, never get any more interesting. Earlier in the video, I said they looked like they could be in The Division. And I meant it. The weapon design is so bland in this game, it blows my mind. They all look the same. There is no such thing as a legendary Volt rifle in the full game with interesting bonuses and elemental damage. It's just some dumb assault rifle that looks like I can buy it in real life. They don't bother to introduce new or exclusive weapons. Bosses don't drop any kind of specific loot to show off your achievements, or at the very least make them worth grinding. Weapons and abilities don't get any cooler with crazier, more interesting perks as the rarity increases. They just do more damage. And with the enemies getting more powerful, the player from level 1 to 30 never really feels like he's getting any stronger, or at least I didn't. And by not receiving gear, you don't really feel like you've accomplished anything. You've got nothing to show off or really be proud of. As you progress, the content doesn't change. The enemies don't get any smarter with different tactics. New mechanics aren't introduced. They're just still so stupid. Just with more health now. Lord help us all. Despite the core gameplay doing a good job at making you feel powerful, once that wears off, you realize what's left is a pretty stagnant experience. There's just nothing to chase. Where's my Gallahorn son? The thing that pains me the most is that this is the type of thing I would expect to say about a game like The Division. I've said for a long time that The Division is always going to be handicapped since it's set in a realistic world. Anthem is its own world. They make up the rules. Literally, anything can happen. That's how it's set up. I thought that was the point, so that they could evolve and create anything they wanted. But this is the best they could come up with? These weapons? This progression of abilities? Again, where's the gear? This stuff doesn't even drop in the loot table. Who thought that was okay? Anthem was supposed to be a game where creation went awry. You could have had so many cool hybrid species wanting to eat my face. You could have gotten so creative with the world evolving, changing the landscape with shaper storms, creating gameplay mechanics that can only be found in this game. The lore of Anthem set it up to be something so unique, leading to an endless amount of opportunities to be as creative and crazy as you want, the exact opposite of The Division. But they don't do any of it, and this is what we get. Striders just sit there, motionless. The enemies don't interact with each other as they did in the trailer. Instead of cool mechanics and tons of unique bosses, they recycled the Titan and Ursix like a million times, sometimes 3 or 4 times within the same mission. The most interesting looking mission isn't even one you're able to play, it's a cutscene. Anthem is just repetitive. And I know all games are in some ways repetitive, but the gameplay loop of Anthem is bad. The endgame grind isn't worth it, not at all. It fails to be a worthwhile and fulfilling experience. Anthem's leveling content is bland, average at best, and its endgame is just a recycle of that bland content, expected to be repeated over and over again with no new or exciting rewards. And that's the thing. It's not that Anthem is a bad game. It just could've and should've been so much more. What we got has so much missed potential on all fronts. No game is expected to be perfect, but in some areas, it blows my mind with what is missing here. Anthem is a looter shooter, and the loot sucks. It's a social game that manages to be a better experience when you play by yourself. And I don't mean to hit you guys with the total dad line right now, but it's true. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Disappointed at all the missed potential here. The loot, the story, the social space, the endgame, the open world, and more. Bugs, little annoying glitches, and constant loading aside, the fundamentals of Anthem are flawed, and that's why this video exists. I'm sure in time Anthem will get better, and personally, I want to see that happen. I genuinely do. But it's not an excuse for the state it was released at. Anthem had a crazy amount of potential given the concept and the world, but in the end, it's mediocre. Anthem could have been so much more than Destiny, The Division, or any of its other competitors, but in the end, it was just more of the same. And guys, that is where I will end this video. I'm sure I could keep going, but I'm just a little burnt out. I've heard some stuff about people getting banned and PS4's blowing up or something. I don't even know. Your boy ain't getting into that. This is where I end it, but I do want to hear what you guys have to say. So feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, you can let me know by leaving a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Thank you guys all so much for making it to the end. I love you guys. Sexually. And as always, I will see you in the next one.